what you're going to learn how to do in this tutorial is how to take a high poly sculpted mesh and then retopologize that mesh to lower down the polygon count. The polygon count of the high sculpted polygon mesh is about 447,000 polygons. Through the technique of retopology, you're going to lower that down to about 2,200 polygons. You're going to learn how to retopologize the entire head mesh, not just the front of the face, but you're going to be shown the how to retopologize the top of the head, the back of the head as well. You're going to be shown techniques how to lower down the edges that come from the face down to a more controllable amount as you work your way through the retopology. You're going to be shown how to set up proper face loops so that the face, when it's animated, is able to animate in a way that is optimized. This tutorial is taught in a step-by-step fashion. I not only try to explain what I'm doing, but why I'm doing what I'm doing. Thanks for viewing this tutorial, and I hope that you enjoy it. Hi, this is Ali Arango of Little Guy CGI. Today I'm going to show you how to retopologize a female face in Blender 2.83. So let's get started. Okay, what you see in front of you is the result from some other tutorials on this channel. I'll put links up so you can get to those tutorials. Alright, the first thing we're going to do is we are going to select the hair, press H to hide them. Select this jacket, press H. Select the body, press H. Select the shirt, press H. The zippers, H. This curve, press H. The hand, this ball, the pants, then the shoes, then the soles of the shoes. Now what we're going to do is hover above this face, hold Shift, press B, then draw a zoom box to zoom in. Okay, currently we're on the rendered view. I'm going to go to the solid view. Here in the solid view, the 3D cursor is right in the center of our scene. What I'm going to do is hold Shift and press A to bring up an Add To menu. I'm then going to select Plane to bring in a plane. So there's our plane. With that plane selected, I'm going to go to the upper left, go to Edit Mode. Here in Edit Mode, I'm going to go to the upper left. We have Vertex Select, Edge Select, Face Select. I'm going to select the vertex select. So with this selected, I'm going to go to Mesh. There we go. Merge. Then I'm going to select, I can select at center or collapse. I think I'll select at center. So this dot here is not the vertex, that's our origin point. I'm going to try to push the vertex. There's the vertex there, right there. Okay, from this vertex we're going to build our head geometry out of this. That's what the plan is anyway. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. We're going to go to the upper left. We're going to go to object mode. What we're going to do is we're going to want to go up to the middle part of the screen. This magnet activates our snapping options. We're going to select here. We're going to make sure the snapping options are set for face. We also want to make sure we have this project individual elements on. We're going to select this magnet to turn snapping on. We have the vertex here, right? So what I'm doing is I'm rotating the view to basically aim the vertex to where I want it. And what I mean is, like, when I press G, how you see this face, that's where this vertex is going to be on now that we have that snapping on. So I'm going to go back to the upper left. Then I'm going to go to edit mode. So see how, like, right now the vertex is away from the head. I'm holding the middle mouse button to rotate. So now I'm rotating, so this is over the part of the face that I want. Now I'm going to press G and then left click. Doesn't look like anything happened. However, now you can see that this vertex is actually snapped to the face. So what I'm going to do is pull this over, push this down. I'm aiming towards the corner of the eye. Okay, what we're going to do now is go to the upper left, go to object mode. We're going to select our eyelashes, press H to hide them. We're going to select our eyelids, then press H to hide them. We don't want to select back on the head mesh. We want to select on our one vertex. So this is called plane here. I'm going to double click here and name this retopology. So with that selected, we're going into the edit mode, not for the head mesh, for the plane that is going to be our retopology. So here in edit mode, we can see there's that one vertex. Okay, I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to select the hand. I'm selecting the hand, right, to pan the view down. The view is going very slow. If Blender starts to zoom in as well as out slow, as well as pan, like when I'm selecting the hand slow, what you can do is select view to selected, then Blender should respond normally again. Okay, the way we're going to be doing things when we're dealing with a feature of the face, typically we'll have to the side, so the eye, we have this vertex to the side. We're going to do 1, 2, 3 vertices, and then 1 for the side, and then 1, 2, 3 vertices for the bottom of the eye. All right, so with this vertex selected, we're going to hold control, didn't want to do that, holding control, then right clicking, that's what we want. So this second vertex is going right in the center of the eye. We're then right clicking again. You can't see the line probably because the vertex is in the eye. We're going to right click to the side. So here's our 3, then here's our side. So now we want to match up the bottom vertices with the top vertices. So we're going to right click, right click, right click. Right? So now I'm letting go of control. I'm holding shift to select here. Then I'm going to press F to fill. Okay, I'm going to go to object mode, left click, just because I'm not sure what that orange selection was. I'm going to go back to edit mode for our retopology. Now what I'm going to do is press A to select all of the eye. I'm also going to go to the square to the right here. I'm going to go to where we see this viewport display and then select in front so we can continuously see our geometry. With this geometry all selected, I'm going to press E to extrude, right click, and then press S to scale this out. Like that. Then I'm going to left click to lock that scale in. Okay, what we're going to do now is go to the upper left, go to object mode. We're going to go to the wrench, which is our modifier panel. We're going to select add modifier. We're going to select mirror modifier. We're going to select clipping. We're also going to select this, looks like a triangle here. With that set up like that, we're going to go back to our upper left, then back to edit mode. Okay, with this setup, we're going to select this vertex here, pull this in some here. What we're going to do now is we're going to go to the upper left, go to edge select. We're going to select this edge right here. We're then going to press E to extrude, right click, and then push this extrusion down like that. And then going to left click to deselect. Okay, what we're going to do now is select this edge here, hold shift, select here, as well as here. I'm going to let go of shift. I'm then going to press E to extrude, right click, And then I'm going to push this geometry toward itself. I'm going to press G, then left click so that the geometry locks to, the retopology geometry locks to the face mesh beneath it. The clipping here is what's allowing this to meet like this. And that's what you see right here. So I'm going to left click to deselect. Okay, what we're going to do now is hover over the nose area. We're going to hold Control, then press R. We're going to move our mouse. We have a vertical loop cut. I'm going to left click once, then left click a second time to lock that loop cut in. I held the middle mouse button to rotate the view. So now I'm adjusting this loop cut because we have a mirror modifier on. The same thing is happening on the other side of the screen. What I'm thinking as I'm doing this is these faces that are going down the nose, I want to come all the way down to here. I'm going to left click to deselect. Okay, for this part of the nose, I want, until the nose starts to bend down, I want there to be 3 sections. So what I'm going to do is select here, hold Control, then select here. I use something called the shortest path when I select it here while holding Control, then selecting here. Blender selects all of the vertices in between. It's kind of like using Alt, which typically selects a loop. The shortest path, it's kind of like that. It's just another way of selecting edges. It's very useful. So I want these 3 faces to be on the front of the nose, so I'm pushing this down like that. I'm going to select here, hold Control, use the shortest path technique again. So I'm taking a look. I'm going to left click to deselect. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to Edge Select, select this edge, press E to extrude, right click, push this down like this. Then I'm going to press E to extrude, right click, and then push this down to the top of the mouth like that. Then I'm going to left click to deselect. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to hover here, hold Control, press R to put a loop cut here. We're going to left click once, left click a second time to lock that in. We'll press G, then left click. When we press G, we did that. We press G to get this to snap to the mesh underneath. We're going to left click on nothingness to deselect, go to vertex select. Then what we're going to do is select here. Then we're going to hold shift and then left click here. We're going to press F to fill. So now with those, with this geometry made here, I'm going to go to the upper left to the select box. I'm going to hold shift, select here, here, as well as here. So I have 4 vertices selected. Notice I don't have another vertex here. I do have a face here, but I don't have one matching this on the top, which is, I'm just letting you know I'm doing that on purpose. I'm going to press F to fill, then I'm going to left click to deselect. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to select here, hold Control, we're going to right click. I'm letting go of Control. I move this vertex here to line up with this vertex there. With I'm going to select this vertex, hold shift, then select here, here, as well as here. So I have 4, I let go of shift, I have 4 vertices selected so I can make a face. So I'm going to press F to make a face, and then I'm going to left click to deselect. Okay, I'm going to go to the upper right to select the hand. We want this geometry here to basically come down to make a loop. So we're going to go to the upper left, go to our move tool. We're going to adjust this going to select here, hold control, then right click. So this is going to make up another face. I'm going to select here, hold shift, select there as well as there as well as there. We have 4 vertices. Then we're going to press F to make a face there. And then going to left click to deselect. Okay, as far as making this loop, the way I kind of think of it is this line of faces that goes to the center of the eye. You want there to be 1 including this one, 2, a middle loop, and then 2 more that go to the chin. So we're going to go to here. So with this counting as 1, we're going to select here. We're going to hold control. Then we're going to right click. So that would be 2. This would be the middle. Then this will be 1. And then 2. So here what we'll do is push this right towards itself. We'll select here, move this down here. Like that. I'll then left click to deselect. Okay, so we're going to go to the upper left to vertex select. We're going to select here, hold control, then right click. So right here, I'm like, okay, this is the corner of the mouth. This can go into here. And then so this will be 4 faces here. So I'll select here, select here, select here, select here, then press F to make those faces there. So then I'm like, I need this here for a face for this here. So I'm going to hold control. Oops, I'll select there. Now I'm holding control, then I'll right click. So this can be a face. These 4 can be a face. Then I'm right clicking here. I'm letting go of control. I purposely go short of the middle. However, these 4 can be a face as well. So I'll left click to deselect. Okay, so I'm gonna select here, hold shift, then select here, as well as here, as well as here. I'll press F to fill that in. I'll select here, push this towards itself. Then what I can do is I'm gonna go to edge select. Now I do have an add-on called the, I believe it's called the F2 add-on. If you go to edit, preferences, look for the, I'm pretty sure it's the F2 add-on. Make sure you have a check mark next to that. When I say add-on, it is something that is in the default version of Blender. It's not something you have to download and then install. It's inside of Blender. You just have to put a check mark next to that. With that add-on selected, what you should be able to do is with edge select on is select this edge and then press F, then F to have this other geometry filled in. I'll then left click to deselect. Okay, we want to have another loop. We want to have this other loop be made up of 4 faces. So we're going to go to the upper left, go to vertex select. We're going to select here. This is in the air, so I'm going to press G, then left click to get that to stick. What I'm going to do is hold control, then right click. Right click. I let go of control to hold the middle mouse button. I'm now holding control again. I'm right clicking, holding the middle mouse button to rotate. I'm going short of the middle, directly in the middle. Then I'm right clicking. I'm now pushing these pieces together. What we just did there is we want our face to have 4 vertices. So hopefully you can see we have 4 vertices here with that for each face. So we have the potential to make up faces here. So what we want to do is go to the upper left to edge select with that add-on that I told you about. Now we should be able to just press F, 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 F to get all that geometry to fill in, which is very nice. So I'm holding the middle mouse button to rotate. Taking a look, I'm going to left click to deselect. Okay, we're going to hold the middle mouse button to go to the side, go to the upper left, go to vertex select. We're going to this vertex to the side of the eye, so it's like the, hopefully you can see like right there. We went right from here. We're going to hold control, then right click. There we go. We're coming down the side to match up with the vertices here. Holding control, right click. I'm going to select the hand to manipulate the view. Hold control, right click. I'm going to go not to the center, right click, find it easier to just push towards the center. So with that done, we're going to zoom back, left click, we're going to select this vertex here, hold shift, select here, here as well as here. We're then going to press F, we're then going to left click to deselect, go to the upper left to edge select, select this edge, hold the middle mouse button so you can see. Then we're going to press F, 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 then left click to deselect. The F2 add-on filled in the rest of that geometry. Okay, I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. I'm going to go to vertex select. I'm going to select the hand to manipulate the view. I'm going to select here, hold control, then right click, right click, right click. What I'm doing is I'm matching up the vertices with the vertices here. I'll push this one closer to that one. I'm going to hold control, then right click there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm still on vertex select, which is good. I'll select here, hold shift, then select here. I'll then press F to fill. I did that because the F2 modifier seems like you need to kind of tell it where to start off at. So I'll go to edge select, select here. Now I'll press F, F, F. Now what I want to do is I want to reduce the geometry coming from here. Normally we would have 3 faces going up. There's a way to reduce this to 2. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this up and then have this go into itself. And the end result will be, instead of having 3 edges coming up, we'll have 2. Before that, we have this kind of strange shading there. I'm going to go to the upper right to our overlays, or next to our overlays button. Select here, go to face orientation. This face orientation shows us the proper way that our normals are supposed to be adjusted. Normals are supposed to go out. These are going in, which is shown us by the red. So what we can do is go to face select, press A to select everything. I'm going to go to the upper left, go to mesh, down to normals. And you can see this recalculate outside. That's what we want. We could left click there. I'm going to use the shortcut, which is shift N. That fixed the normals. I'm going to go to the upper left. I'm then going to select the arrow and then turn off face orientation. Now what I'm going to do, I move the view by selecting the hand. I'm going to go to edge select. Select this edge, not the one that's right next to the center, the one that's next to that. I'm going to press E to extrude, right click, bring this up, press R to rotate, left click. I've rotated this because I want this geometry to extrude right into itself. So I'm going to press E to extrude, right click, push that towards itself. I'll left click to deselect. Now I'll select this edge, hold shift, select here as well as here. There we go. I'll press F to fill that in. Then I'll select here, hold shift, select here as well as here. Press F to fill that in. I'll then left click to deselect there. I'll go to edge select, move this up. I want to put another loop around the face. I'm going to left click here, hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. I'm going to go to vertex select, select here, hold control, then right click. And I'm going to select right along this view here, along these vertices here. Matching them up similar to before. This one here, I purposely didn't go to the center. I'll push that towards itself. I'll push this towards itself. I'll select here, hold shift, select here, here as well as here. Press F to fill, left click to deselect, go to face select. I'll select here, then press F, 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 F to fill that geometry in. I'll hold the middle mouse button. I'm holding the middle mouse button to rotate the view. This is looking good so far. Okay, what we're going to do is go to the upper left, go to object mode. We're on our modifiers, or if you're not, click the wrench. We're going to add a shrink wrap modifier. I don't like to work with a shrink wrap modifier. I know some retopology tutorials, they suggest that. I find that it makes it difficult to me. That being said, the shrink wrap modifier is very useful when it comes to retopology, what I like to do is to put it on, use it, and then for the most part apply it. That works well for me. It seems to get in the way as I model. It tends to make it actually harder for me. So anyway, with this on our retopology, we're gonna select this eyedropper, select the mesh underneath of it, and then select apply. So now our mesh should be more closely match the geometry that's underneath of it. With that done, we'll go to the upper left, go back to edit mode. Okay, what we're going to do is make sure we're on edge select, which we are. I'm going to go to the upper right to select the hand. I'm going to hold Alt, left click, press E to extrude, right click, press S to scale this in like this. Take the manipulator to move that in more. Zoom in, hold Control, press R to put one loop cut there. I'm going to left click a second time to lock that loop cut in. Okay, what we're going to do now is go to the upper left. We're going to go to object mode. We're going to add some more geometry to our face. So we're clicked on the wrench, which is our modifier panel. We're going to select to add a subdivision surface modifier on. I'm going to select this triangle so it looks like it's applied. When I hold the middle mouse button and turn to the side, you can see that this isn't conforming to the face. So what we're going to do is add a shrink wrap modifier. We'll select the eyedropper, select the mesh underneath. Now this is conforming to the face. I'm going to select the triangle. I want to apply the subdivision surface as well as the shrink wrap. So I'm going to select apply as well as apply. So now we just have the mirror modifier on our mesh. I'm going to turn off the snapping temporarily. I'm going to go to the upper left, go to edit mode. I'm going to go to vertex select. I'm pushing these vertices together. That tends to happen from the mirror modifier. Sometimes the vertices will sometimes split. I'm just adjusting that, was pointing up. Going to the upper right to select the hand. Selecting the lips. I'm pushing these vertices together. The clipping is allowing them to join together. I'm going to left click to deselect. Looks good. Okay, I'm going to select the hand and the pan. Zoom in. I'm on vertex select. I'll select here. Just straightening that vertex out. I'll left click to deselect. I'll go to edge select. I'll select here. I'm going to select the hand. Hold Control. I will right click. This isn't snapping right now, even though it looks like it is. I'll right click. Right click. Right click. So you can see that's an error. So now we'll get things to snap. We'll turn this on. We'll select here. Press G. That snaps. Rotate the view. Select here. So what's going on here is this will only snap what we have selected. So I'm kind of like lining up where I want this to snap. Then I'll press G. And then that'll be snapped. So we'll turn this. We have to turn that off. You know, we'll keep it on. I selected there just to move the manipulator out of the way. I'll press G to snap that. I'll select here, press G to snap that. Just taking a look by holding the mouse button. I'll left click to deselect. Okay, I'm holding the mouse button to take a look. I'm going to select here, push this together. This clipping makes it join together. Now, when we joined these pieces together, this was fairly easy because we didn't have other geometry. This geometry being over top other geometry. Like, see, this line right here is over top of that geometry. That can cause issues with snapping when you're working with geometry. Okay, one of the things that we can do is, see, when we're here, if I try to work with this here, it'll probably try to snap there. One of the things we can do is we can use the Alt B. So I'm going to hold Alt, press B. Then I'm going to draw this box. And now I can just see, even as I rotate, just see the back of this head. This makes things a lot easier to work. See what I mean about crossing over? So I'm actually going to turn off this clipping, pull this apart, bring that forward. I'm going to hold control. I am going to right click, hold control, right click, hold control, then right click. So now that I have that there, I will push that together. I can see that that isn't, I'll turn this clipping back on. That's why you see it looks kind of strange when there we go, there we go. So you kind of like pull, move this again, then it's you know, right. So I'll select the hand to rotate the view. Same thing here. Push it together, kind of like click off, click on it again. It's good then. I'll select the hand. Push that together, click off of it. Now that's good. So when I want to see the other geometry, I can hold Alt, then press B. The other geometry comes right back. Okay, what we're going to do now is turn off snapping. I'm going to zoom in, select here, hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view, hold control, and then left click here. Letting go of control. Because I was holding control, I was able to select all of the geometry in between the 2 points I had selected. What I'm doing now is pulling this geometry out some, like this. And I'm doing this to increase how much this geometry here covers. I'm going to left click to deselect now. Okay, what I'm going to do now is look to this area around here where it's coming out from the eye here, all right? I'm going to dodge this first edge right here. I'm selecting the edge next to it, not the one that's right next to here, all right? I'm going to hold control, and then I'm going to left click. I use the shortest path technique again. We have snapping still turned off. I'm zooming back just to get a better idea of where this is going to extrude to, because that's what we're about to do. I'm now holding shift. I'm then going to right click. So the geometry extruded right to where I had my mouse at. I'm going to press S to scale this down some. From this view here, I don't see any geometry underneath this. So I'm going to turn the snapping back on. Then I'm going to press G and then left click to get that to snap to the head. And then I'm going to left click to deselect. Okay, what I'm going to do now is zoom in. I'm going to select this edge, hold shift, select that edge. I'm still holding shift. Now I selected that edge. Then I'm going to press F to fill in that geometry there. Then I'm going to left click to deselect. Okay, I'm going to hold the mouse button to rotate the view. I'm going to hold control, press R, left click. Move this forward slightly. I'm going to zoom in, select the hand to the upper right. What we want to do here is we want to start lowering down the geometry. Move this forward more. I have found that working with quads makes things a lot easier. When I say quad, I'm talking about when I go to vertex select, you can see like there's 4 vertices, right? However, the quad faces that we use don't have to be uniform square faces like that. So that's how we're going to lower down our geometry. So what we're going to do is select here, pull this out, right? We're going to hold shift, select here, as well as here, as well as here. Then we're going to press F to fill. So we have a quad here, right? It's strange looking, but it is a quad. However, because we set it up this way, we were able to lower down the geometry going that way. So what we want to do now is select here, hold Control. We're going to right click, hold Shift. So we're making a regular quad here. Then we're going to press F to fill, right? Now we're going to do what we did before. We're going to make a quad that's not regular shaped. We're going to hold Shift, select these faces here, then press F to fill that in. Let's zoom back, taking a look. I'll left click to deselect. Okay, I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to select here. I'm going to hold Control, then right click. I'm still holding Control. I'm going to right click again. I'm going to select here, hold Shift. Select here, I'll press F to fill. I'll select here. Holding Shift. Pressing F to fill there as well. I'm going to left click to deselect. Okay, so we've already decreased the geometry going down to the head. We're going to select, edge select to decrease it even more. So with this edge selected, I'm going to hold Control, right click. Now I'm going to press R to rotate the view here. Hold Shift, select here. Then going to press F to fill. I'll then left click to deselect. Hold Control, then press R. Left click once, left click a second time to lock that in. Then I'll select here, hold Shift. I selected those edges, then I'll press F to fill. I can select here. Then I'll press F to fill here as well. I'll left click now to deselect. Okay, so we've done this to decrease the geometry going down the back of the head, which one thing to think about in this nice is the back of the head, there's not a lot of movement. I mean, for the most part, that's bone. So you want to have nice topology. I'm saying that so you don't get too caught up. It's not like an area that has more movement. Anyway, I'm going to select here, hold Control, right click, hold them in the mouse button to rotate. I'm holding Control again, right click. I'm going to unclick the snap so I can right click there. I'm going to turn snapping back on, press G, then left click. So with that done, now what I can do is I can select here, not there, here. I am holding the middle mouse button, rotate the view. I'll press F, then F. I'll press F again as well. I'll left click to deselect. Okay, with edge select on, I'm going to select here. I'm going to hold Control and right click. I'm going to press R to rotate. I'll move this over here some. I'm going to hold shift, then select here, then press F to connect those two pieces of geometry. I'll left click to deselect. Okay, what we're going to do is hold control, press R, left click once, left click a second time. That cut gives us 4 vertices. I'm on edge select, so you can't see the vertices, but there's, we're able to make a quad face. I'll press F to fill that. We're also able to make a quad face here. I'll press F to fill that. There's a lot of space here. Like it's very uneven from here, so I'm going to hold control, press R. My thinking here is mainly just to make this not so, these huge amounts of spaces. That's why I put that line in. I'll left click to deselect. Okay, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to select this edge, hold shift, select here. I'm going to press F to fill. I want to put loops to match up here, so I'm going to hold control, press R, left click once, because only left click once I can slide that loop cut. I'll hold control, press R, left click once, because only left click once I can slide the loop cut. Hold control, press R, left click once, because only left click once I can slide the loop cut. I'll left click to deselect. We'll come back to that. There's the ear here. It's a little difficult to see. What we're going to do is we're going to hover here, hold control, press R, move our mouse, control R puts loop cuts in. I'm going to left click once, because I left click once I can slide the loop cut, sliding that down. Now what I'm going to do is I put that there because I want to see the ear here, go to the edge underneath the ear, hold shift and then select here. I let go of shift, now I'm pressing F, or I pressed F to put that in. I'll left click to deselect. Okay, with here we should be able to hopefully press F, 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 excellent. Here we need the loop cut, so we'll left click to try to deselect. When you do edge select and you left click on nothingness, doesn't seem like it deselects. I like not having something selected, makes me, I guess, feel better. Like I'm not gonna grab something and move it by accident. Anyway, we need loop cuts to match up to here, right? So we're gonna hover here, hold control, press R, left click, drag that back. We need another one right there. So hold control, press R, because we left click once, we can move the loop cut. We're gonna hold control, press R, because we left click once, we can move the loop cut. So now with that, we should be able to go here. Oh, this is the ear. So for here, what we want to do is select here, hold shift, and then press F to fill. So we're leaving a space for the ear. Ear is hard to see because we have the front geometry turned on. I'm going to left click, vertex, left click to deselect. Okay, let's see where that ear is at. So we'll select here, select front. Okay, so can't see. So we need the front. So we're going to turn off this snapping. We're going to select here. Make some room for our ear. See how we have this line going right here. So we can see that we probably need a line right here. So we'll hold control, press R, left click once, Left click a second time to lock that in. We can see that we could go from here probably to here. So let's hold control, press R. Left click once so we can move that loop cut. We'll hold control, press R to have the space here. So now we'll select here, leaving the space in between there. Then we're going to hold Shift, then press F to fill here. I'll left click to deselect. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. 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 Okay, what we need to do now is fill in this area. See the edges right here? What we're going to do is hold control, press R. I'll left click once. Because I left click once, I can move that edge. So this edge should line up with that edge. I'll hold control, press R. Because I left clicked once, I can move the edge. I need another one here. Hold control, press R. Left click once, then I'll move the edge. So now we have these edges here, as well as these edges that match up with those edges there. Okay, I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. We can look at this edge right here. When I'm looking here, I'm seeing this big area. I'm seeing, however, there's an edge here, an edge here. Let's put an edge here. We'll hold control, press R. I'm going to left click once, move this slightly to the side, left click a second time to lock that in. I'm on edge select. If you look to the upper left, I'm going to select here. Hold Shift, select here as well as here. Wrong edge. So I'm still holding Shift. I selected this by accident. I was, still holding Shift. I left clicked it again to deselect it. So now I'm letting go of Shift. We have these three edges. I'm going to press F to fill in that area. Then left click on nothingness to deselect. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. I'm going to zoom in. But I rolled the mouse button to zoom in. We're still on edge select. I'll select here. Hold Shift, select here as well as here. I'll then press F to fill. Seems to be that when you're going to fill in areas like this, you need to kind of tell Blender how to start off with an edge. I'll left click here to deselect. Okay, what I'm going to do now is select this edge here. Then I'll press F as well as F. So now we have this area here to deal with. So I'm going to hold control, press R, left click, drag this over. Select here, press F. I'll select the hand to move the view. So now I'll hold Shift, select here as well as here, as well as there. Then I'll press F to fill. Then I'll left click to deselect. Zoom back to take a look. Okay, we have this ear area here. To deal with this, let's hold Alt to select that area. We'll go to here, already there. We're going to select in front. So we have our selection, right? We have the area selected around the ear. So when we go to in front, we can now not see the geometry we're working on. So I'm going to click this again. So we look. So see how like the ear, it looks like the back of the ear, I think is like right here, right? So I'm going to select this again. Okay, so the back of the ear is like, let's go this. Okay, there we can actually see the ear. So we can use this to our advantage. So I'm going to select here, hold shift, then select here. So we need to push this that way. So I'm going to press O to turn on the proportional editing tool, press G, and then Y. It's too big, so I'm shrinking it down. So I'm trying to push this up. So now let's select this check mark. So this looks good. I'm thinking about, is this, looks like it might be enough space to deal with, you know, having enough mesh to cover the ear up. I'm going to left click to deselect. Okay, we're going to hold Alt, left click. We're going to press O to turn off proportional editing. We're going to unclick this in front. We're going to press E, right click. We're going to bring this geometry out. So we'll select here. I'll hold shift so I can select this other face. Push that down some, back some. All right, we'll go back to edge select, left click on nothingness to deselect, hold Alt, left click, press R to rotate on the Z axis. To rotate this, we've rotated this because the back of the ear sticks out more than the front, right? I'll press R to rotate on the Z axis. There we go. In the time of making this video, I started off making this video. It was Blender 2. It was Blender 2.8. This is now Blender 2.9. Okay. In Blender 2.9, it used to be that the numbers of our geometry was near the bottom of the screen. In Blender 2.9, you'll select here, which is the overlay menu. And you put a check mark next to statistics, so now you have the number here, which is, I think, a lot better. The reason why I came here is I want to see how many edges I have. So this is 10. Because this is 10, I should be able to use grid fill here. I'm going to go back to the overlay. And 10, the reason why I say like I should be able to use grid fill, 10 is an even number. I'm going to unclick that statistics check mark. Now I'm going to hold Control, press F, which brings up our faces menu or our face menu. I'm going to select grid fill, then left click to deselect. Okay, what I'm going to do now is put the check mark to turn that back on. I am also going to go to our modifier panel. I'm going to add a shrink wrap modifier. I'm going to go to the target. I'm going to select the eyedropper. I'm going to select the head. I'll select this triangle there. So now with the shrink wrap modifier, we have the geometry sticking closer to the head. I'll hold shift. Adjusting this slightly. On the vertex select. And I see the geometry crossing over here, so Just adjusting this slightly. I'll left click to deselect. Yeah, I told you before, I find it difficult to work with the shrink wrap modifier on. So I am going to okay. I was thinking about where's the, still don't see it, apply button. And then there's changes I had mentioned to you where if you look underneath my mouse, you can see this is 2.9. Okay, we're going to select near the shrink wrap modifier, this arrow, and then we're going to select apply. I like to use the shrink wrap, put it on, then apply it. Okay, now this is right here. This is very important what I'm about to show you. I want geometry here. You can see how big this space is compared to the other spaces, right? So I want geometry here. When I hold Control, press R, that geometry is going to go to the eye, right? I don't want that. I'm going to right click to get out of that. What I want is this geometry to come, instead of going like this, I want this geometry to go from here to here. So how can I go about doing that? I just selected the magnifier and dragged up. What I can do is I can go to face, select here, press X, then choose faces to delete. So now there's no way the edge can go from here to here, right? Okay, to change the flow of the edges to go here rather than here, what we can do is go to the upper left, go to vertex, select. I'll select the vertex here, hold the mouse button, rotate. I'll hold shift, select here. I'll then go to mesh, merge at last. So now this is connected right to there. So now if I hold Control, press R, you can see the edge flow goes where I want it to go. So I'll right click. We are going to use that. However, we need to deal with this geometry here. Okay, to deal with this geometry, I'm going to select this vertex here, push this over. Now we can see the geometry that, you know, how this is set up. We're going to go to face select, select here, hold shift, select here, as well as here. We're then going to press X to bring up our delete menu, then choose faces to delete. So now we can see, we can, with this geometry deleted, you can kind of see like here's this edge here. See how there's no edge here, so we can hold Control. We can press R, left click, drag this down. So now we can see we can just match that edge up. We have this here, right? So same thing. We can hold Control, press R, left click a second time to lock that in. And then what we can do now is select here, hold Shift, select here as well as here. Press F to fill that in. I show left click to deselect, click here, hold shift, press F to fill that in. Select here, hold shift, then press. F to fill that in. We'll left click to deselect now. Well, we don't, edge like you don't typically deselect for whatever reason. I'll left click now to deselect. Okay, now with all that done, this big space right here, now we can come, hold Control, press R, put in 4 loop cuts, left click once, left click a second time to lock that in. Here we can go Control R. Two loop cut seems good. So now we have more balanced geometry. Okay, I'm going to hold the mouse button, rotate the view, hold control, press R, put a loop cut here, left click a second time to lock that in, left click on nothingness to deselect, go to the right side of the screen, select to put a shrink wrap modifier on, select the eyedropper, then select the head, select the triangle so we can see more of what we're working with. Okay, so what I want to do is adjust the spacing here. I'll select here. Oh, I was going to hold shift and select there. We can use the shortest path technique. So I'm going to hold control, then left click. That selects in between what we had as well as here, and then picks the path in between. So we're going to use the shrink wraps ability to make this stick to the head. Let's press C for paint select. Push this down. Select here. Select here, hold control, left click, hold shift to select that vertex there, push this down. Push that down, pull that back some. I'm looking at the ones that are, furthest spread apart, trying to deal with them. I'll left click on nothingness to deselect. Okay, when you look here, you can see this geometry is not very smooth. I'm going to select the hand to move the view. We're going to select everything. Press C for paint select, deselect the ear. We're deselecting the ear because we're going to smooth the vertices. If we smooth the area around the ear, it being the geometry, it tends to pull away from the ear. Right click to get out of paint select. I'm going to hold control, press V. This brings up our vertex menu. I'm going to select smooth vertices one time. Be careful when you use smooth vertices. Sometimes it will cause issues with other things. I should be able to select here now, this area here that I want smoothed. I'm going to right click to deselect. I'm going to go to the lower left of the screen to smooth. We have this manipulator here. I'll left click and drag this to the right. And then with that area that I have selected, you can see it's smoothing out very nice. So I'll left click to deselect. Okay, we smoothed while having the shrink wrap modifier on. It helped us out. However, I like to use this and apply it. So I'm going to go to the arrow to the right of, the controls of the shrink wrap modifier, and okay, I'm going to go to object mode first and then select apply. Now I'll go back to the upper left, back to edit mode. I'm going to zoom the mouse wheel back, select the hand to pan. You can go in, you can work with your geometry to smooth it out more. However, this is looking decent so far. Okay, I'm going to hold them in the mouse button. We'll look towards here. We're going to go to edge select. We're going to hold Alt, then left click this edge here. Before we do that, apologize. See this, how we have this whole loop, then we have this geometry here. These two faces, let's get rid of that. So with those selected, I'm going to go to the move tool. We were previously selected on this move tool. I'll press X to bring up our delete menu, then choose faces to delete. I'm going to go to vertex select, mainly because I see that this here. I'm going to hold shift, press B, then draw a zoom box to zoom in here. So I'm pushing this geometry towards itself. I'll left click to deselect. Okay, when I zoom back, we're going to get an edge select, hold Alt, left click. I'm letting go of Alt because I was holding Alt. I was able to select that entire edge loop. See this line here in the face, how this goes back. I don't want to come right from this line to make the neck. So with that being said, I'm going to press E to extrude, right click, press S to scale, like that. I'm going to push down like this. Push forward some, like that. I'm going to press S to scale in the Z-axis 0, then left click to lock that in. That just flatten this area out. I'm going to press R to rotate on the X-axis like this. Push that forward. What I'm going to do now is go to vertex select, right click, go to loop tools. This is an add-on. You need to go to edit, user preferences, put a check mark next to loop tools. I use this add-on a lot. It's an extremely useful add-on. For here, what we're going to do is select circle. We're doing this because the neck shape is circular. So with this circular shape, push this back some, like that. Press S to make that bigger, to make that line up. That looks pretty decent. I'm going to left click to deselect. Okay, I'm going to go to edge select, hold Alt, left click, press E to extrude, right click, push this down, move that back, and I'm going to left click to deselect. Okay, we have this geometry. I actually don't want this geometry to come down at this time. However, I wanted to make sure that there was geometry that the geometry could come down into the neck. So you're like, what are you talking about? These lines here I was concerned with. So I wanted to make sure there was enough geometry to have the head topology be good while having there be enough geometry to come down towards the neck. So you'll understand in a second, I think. We're going to go to the upper left, go to object mode. We're going to modifier tab. We're going to put a shrink wrap modifier on. We're going to select the eyedropper. So we selected the round cube, that's the head. So now you can see that that geometry went back towards the neck. I mean, back towards the head, sorry. I'll select this triangle so we can see the geometry. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to run edge select. I'm going to hold Alt, select, not there, here. So I'm going to hold Shift. I'm holding Alt now with that. I'm letting go of Shift as well as Alt. I'm going to vertex select. I'm going to hold Control V, which brings up our vertex menu, select smooth vertices, Control V, smooth vertices, Control V, smooth vertices, and that allowed us to have this geometry separate some. I'm going to hold Alt, left click here. Wrong. There we go. I'm going to press S to scale this away from the other edge was my main goal. I'll select here, push this vertex towards itself. The same thing here. Select this. There we go. Left click to deselect. Good. Okay, I'm going to go to the upper left to go to object mode. Apply the shrink wrap modifier. Okay, I'm going to go to the upper right, select the hand to adjust the view, hold the middle mouse button, rotate the view, go to the upper left, go back to edit mode. We're going to start marking seams for our UV maps. So we're about to put textures on the face. So we need to put in what's called UV seams. When you're going to put textures on a mesh, what you have to do is, with our current technology, you want to lay out your mesh flat. I'm going to zoom in. Hold Shift, press B. I just saw this. So I'll select here, push that towards itself, select there, push that towards itself, zoom back. So yeah, this needs to be laid out flat. When it comes to working with the human head, you really don't want seams like in the middle of the face. So typically what you'll do is you'll go to this line around here or this line around here. We'll select this line. We'll go to edge select. We'll select here. Hold Control, then select here for the shortest path. We'll hold Control, press E. This brings up our edge menu. Then we'll select Mark Seam. You can see that seam is selected there. I'll left click to deselect. Okay, I'll zoom back. We're still on edge select. I'll hold Alt, left click. Because I held Alt, I was able to select that entire loop. I don't want this here in the face here, so I'll press C for paint select, deselect this geometry here, right click. So I want to put a seam there. So I'm going to hold Control, press E. This brings up our edges menu. I'll then select Mark Seam. Then I'll left click to deselect. Okay, I'm going to hold the mouse button to rotate the view. I'm going to hold Alt. We're on edge select. I'll select here. I don't want that edge to go all the way up. So I'm going to press C for paint select. Then I'll select here like that. I'll press C for paint select here. So my thoughts here are I don't particularly want edges going into the face. I'm going to hold Shift to deselect here as well. I'm going to select here. So with that selected, I'm going to hold Control, press E, then select Mark Seam. I'm then going to left click to deselect. I'm going to roll the mouse wheel back, hold the middle mouse button to rotate. We need to put a seam around the ear. I'm going to left click on the magnifier, then push up, select the hand. We're on edge select. I'm going to hold Alt, hold Shift, select the edge here. Still holding Alt as well as Shift. I'm letting go of Shift as well as Alt to rotate. I did that. So now with that, I'm letting go of Alt as well as Shift, holding the middle mouse button to rotate. I'm going to hold Control, press E, then select Mark Seam, then left click to deselect. I'll roll the mouse wheel to zoom back. Okay, I'm going to hold them in the mouse button to rotate the view, with edge select on. I'm going to hold Alt, left click, let go of Alt. I have that whole edge selected. I'm going to press E to extrude, right click. I'm going to press S to scale. So we have some more geometry for the eyes. I'm going to zoom in, hold Alt as well as Shift, select here as well as here. I let go of Alt as well as Shift. I'll hold Control, press V. This brings up our vertex menu. I'll select smooth vertices. I just did that one time. With that done, I'll go to vertex, select, left click on nothingness to deselect. I'll go to object mode. Now I'm going to go to the mirror, go to the right of the mirror controls, select the arrow, select apply. With that done, I'll right click the mesh, select shade smooth. I'll now go to the top left of our screen, UV editing. This is from previous work. I'll select the X. I'll zoom in, go to face select. I'll zoom in here. I'm going to press A to select everything. Then I'm going to press U. This brings up our UV mapping menu. I'm then going to select unwrap. So now we can see here is our unwrap right here. I'm going to press A to select everything. Press R to rotate -90, then press Enter to lock that in. I'm going to press G to move this to the side. Press S to shrink that down slightly. Press G to move this to the side. I shrunk it slightly more. Now I'll left click to deselect. Okay, what you're looking here is the face laid out flat. That's, for the most part, how we want it to be. So now what we need to do is we need to have a picture to put the texture on. So to do that, we go New. We'll name this main texture face. Press enter. I want this to be double this, so I'm going to select 2, hold shift, then 8, which is multiply. Then I'll press enter. You don't have to do this. 2, shift 8, then press enter. I could have, if I didn't know the number, selected this, copied it, pasted it, or just wrote 2048. I didn't have to do the multiply. I chose to do that. All right, so when you come here, this is the color. This color doesn't matter that much. If you want, sometimes I like to change just so that I know that I've, for lack of a better word, done work. I'll make it like a bluish color. I'll then select OK. So now you can see there's the picture that we have. Now this picture needs to be saved. So we go to Image, Save As. So I'm going to make textures 2 be a folder. Press Enter. And then I'm saving this picture in that folder, where I saved the picture in that folder. It's saved in the folder. Saved in the folder now. Saving that picture was very important, because if you don't save the picture outside of Blender, Blender would typically lose it. There are ways to save that picture inside of Blender, but the normal way is you have it saved outside of Blender. Okay, so with all that being done, what we're going to do is we're going to go to our shading tab now. So what you see here is you see the original sculpted mesh here, as well as the retopologized mesh. Okay, this sculpt, we're going to rename this. And that's the original sculpt. We're going to rename this high poly face, so that we know that put GH, so that we know that we know what this is. So the other mesh is our retopology mesh. I'm going to just add face to that as well, or not as well. Add face to that. Okay, we're about to bake our textures. To do that, the way that Blender currently works, we need to be in cycles. So Blender has multiple engines for looking at things. Eevee is Blender's real-time engine. Cycles is the viewing engine of Blender that has the most realistic lighting. So I'm going to go to the right of the screen, select this arrow, then select Cycles. Okay, here in Cycles, you can see this device is the CPU. I'm going to select here, then select GPU. So Cycles tends to work a lot faster if you have a graphic processor that supports Cycles. You'll know if you have one because when you click here, you'll see this option. Okay, I'm going to go back to the UV editing tab. By the way, these tabs are to help you out. You don't have to use these tabs. You can actually click here to get around to different places as well. These tabs are here to make things easier for you. Okay, so the reason why I came here is we have this main face texture, right? I'm going to select here, select new. I'm going to name this normal map face. This time I'll put in 2048. 2048. I'll leave the color. I'll press enter. I'll leave the color like that. I'll then go to image, save as. This is in the textures 2 folder. I'll select save as image. Okay, with that done, I'll go back to the shading tab. So we'll do the normal map first. So what's important here is, well, we're going to bake the normal first. So what a normal map is a very amazing thing. The normal map allows you to take the details of a high poly mesh and basically apply them to a low poly mesh. It mainly works by using, I'm trying to think of the simplest way to explain it, kind of like using how you see shadows or light. It's very effective. It saves you power. It allows us to do amazing graphics. So in setting this up, it's very important that you have your high poly mesh in alignment with your low poly mesh. They need to be right in the same area, the same space. Once you do that, and this only works in cycles, what I'm showing you now. If you're an Eevee, you would not see the options. So this second button here, you can see this bake. So I'm going to select this arrow. See this bake type combined. We're going to select here, and then we're going to select normal. We're going to scroll down here. We're going to select selected to active. We'll select this arrow. Then these are very important. I'm going to select here, enter in 0.5. The extrusion, I'm going to enter in 0.5, then press enter. There's other things we have to set up. Not a lot. It's not that difficult. I don't think it's particularly difficult at all. And I'm going to show you how to do it, so it's not going to be difficult for you. Anyway, this right here, this selected to active, we're going to have to select high poly face first. That's very important. The low poly face second. And just to be clear, when I say low poly, I'm talking about the retopology that we did. We need to have certain node setups, and we want those node setups to be on the low poly mesh. So we'll select here. That was the high poly. We'll select again. Now this is the low poly at our retopology face. We'll go to our material tab. We'll select new. So here, once we select new, we have these automatic nodes set up for us here. Okay, what we need to get this to work is we need, we're going to go to add, texture, image texture. So we could open and then select for our normal, or I'll zoom in so you can see, hopefully. We'll select this arrow. Okay, there's a lot of stuff there, so I guess we will select open, go to textures 2. So these are our textures. If we want to see what these textures look like, we can select thumbnails from that menu there. So we want this normal face picture. We'll select open image. Okay, this is very important. This node needs to be selected only without it being connected to anything else. I'll say it again. You need to have this node selected without it being connected to anything else to have this work. Okay, so with that being said, what we need to do is let's go back to our bake. Another thing, this max ray distance as well as the extrusion is important. Typically between your retopology mesh, when dealing with your high poly mesh, there's space in between. That's why you can see the white coming through. These settings help deal with that space in between. The difference between your retopology mesh as well as your sculpted mesh. If you have issues as far as your baking, there's a good chance it's probably going to deal with these two settings here. Okay, something else that's important. Blender's going to look to see what's around your object. What do I mean? See all these things that aren't visible here? Blender doesn't know that you don't want them to be included in the bake. So what you want to do is I'm going to select towards the upper right, select here. I'm going to select this, looks like a camera. That's our render options. So what we're going to do is the objects that are hidden, we're just going to look for objects that have a closed eye and then make sure that they don't render. So the objects that have the open eye, we want that to render as far as I can see right here. If we have something hidden, we don't want a camera next to it, and that camera represents rendering. Okay, with all that said, we need to first select the high, which we can see here it's selected first. I'm going to hold shift and then I'm going to left click again. We should now have the low poly mesh selected. very important at first you select the high poly mesh, then the low poly mesh in that order. You also don't want to have anything else selected. So with that done, we didn't start baking, but when we start to bake, we should see our picture start to appear over there. So with our settings set up, we'll select bake. Okay, so here's our normal map. Looks like it came out well. I'm going to select these 3 bars. See this image, that little asterisk sign that's showing us that we don't have our image selected. Saved. If we close Blender and open up, we'll lose that bake. So we'll go to Save As. And we can save right over that. So I'll select Save As Image. Okay, now we're going to bake our other texture. So to do that, we're going to select this X to take the normal out of here. As a matter of fact, we'll select here, we'll hold here, holding the middle mouse button. When I say hold here, I'm talking about the mouse button. I'll select X. So now we're going to select Open, Textures to, Main Texture Face. We'll select Open Image. We want everything to be in the current order. That's why we're going right to here. We're going to keep all of this the same, except with the exception of the bake type. We're going to select this arrow and then select Combined. Okay, so with that set up, we're going to select Bake. So it's coming along. So far, things are going good as far as our baking. Okay, so here is the bake. Looks good. I'm going to go to the 3 bars, image, save image. I'm going to select Save As Image. Okay, with all that set up, we're going to go to the high poly face. We'll hide that. We'll hide the rendering of it as well. We're going to zoom back. I have something called the Node Wrangler set up. If it's an add-on that comes with Blender by default. When I say add-on, it's something inside of Blender. It just needs to be turned on. So with this selected, with the Node Wrangler add-on activated, you would go to Edit, User Preferences, Add-ons, put a check mark next to Node Wrangler. Once you have that set up, you can select your image texture. You can hold Control, then press T, and these menus will pop up. I'm going to select here, select the normal map, because that's what I want to set up first. The color space of the normal map, we want to be set for non-color. Even though we have that set to non-color, we want to come out of the color. Oops. We need the normal map node. Moving this back, we're going to go to Add, Vector, There's two normals, normal map. You want normal map. You're going to go from color to color, and then from normal to normal. And now you can see the normal map working there. I'm moving these nodes down. Okay, we're going to go to Add Texture, Image Texture, Open Textures 2. Select our main texture, select Open Image. We're going to, with this selected, hold Control, press T. I'll zoom back. So these were both selected at the same time when I came in, so I was just able to select them, then drag. I'll go from color to base color. So now we have our combined image on our retopology mesh. Okay, we're going to go to the upper left to layout. We're going to go to our render engine, turn this back to Eevee. I'm going to roll the mouse wheel to zoom back. Okay, what I'm going to do is I am going to unhide our high poly face. I'm going to go to the upper right to turn on our render image. So you can see here's our high poly face. I'm going to hold shift, press D, right click. I'm duplicating this, or I duplicated it because I wanted to have the mesh still in place. However, I wanted to be able to drag a version of it to the side so you could see. So this is high poly face 1. So we'll select high poly face to deselect that. I'm going to unhide plane as well as plane 1. I'm going to select here. Oops, hold shift. Select there, deselect here. I think I have the eyes selected as well. I'll hold shift, press D, right click. Move these over into place. Hold shift, press D, right click. Move these into place. I'll left click to deselect, holding them the mouse button to rotate. Okay, I'm going to select the neck, hold shift, press D, right click, move that over. So you can see both of these meshes, how they look together. What I try to shoot for in an animated character, fairly detailed, is about 30,000 polygons. That would be including the head, as well as the body, as well as the clothes. When I select this retopology mesh, I'm going to go to the upper right. Doesn't have to be selected to see this. I'm going to turn on, this is our overlay menu, turn on statistics. When I go to the upper left, then to edit mode while selected on the retopology mesh. Okay, with all of the faces selected, when you see this triangles, you can see that head mesh is made up of 2,200 triangles. So if I'm shooting for 30,000 for the entire character, I have a good amount of geometry left. I'm going to left click to deselect. I'm going to go to the upper left, go back to object mode. Now I'm going to select on this head mesh here. I'm going to go to the upper left, go to edit mode. Then I'm going to press A so you can see how much geometry is here. There's 477,946 faces to this high poly hidden mesh. So I'm going to left click to deselect, go to the upper left, then go to object mode. I'll left click to deselect. Okay, something else between these two meshes. I'm going to select this mesh, go to shading. I'm going to zoom into the principled shader, this subsurf where we can change the subsurf here. This determines how much light will go into your mesh. I'm going to select this, change this to 0.25, then press enter. What I'll do now is go back to layout. So that lets some light come into our retopologized mesh. When I say let some light come into it, what I'm talking about is light going into the mesh and then spreading out after it goes into the mesh. Very similar to what human skin does, how human skin responds to light. You can also see the difference quickly if I go here and then select wireframe. Here's the wireframe for our topology mesh. Here's the wireframe for our high poly mesh. The high poly mesh has so many polygons that you can't see the faces for the most part of the geometry. So I'll go back to the upper left, then go back to this geometry to turn that wireframe setting off.